Hey guys, were you able to get our latest mystery box? This was a pretty great drop, I should say. People reacted really positively to it. The amount of samples there are in the kit and all that good stuff. And I did a video without mentioning any of the fragrances that were in the kit a week ago. And today I'm gonna go over the fragrances in the mystery box with you. And we had a total of 30 samples. This is how it should have arrived with you or to you. So we had 24 individual samples from different brands, and there was a discovery set from Noya in there as well. You should have received that. So this is our latest mystery box. And if you've gotten your kit yet, let me know what your thoughts are on these. Do add a comment below. I think initially we were going to ship these towards the end of the week, this last week, but turned out we shipped them a little earlier. But we did sell out of this pretty quickly, and I'm excited to let you know about the fragrances. Those of you that have already smelled the fragrances, or at least some of them, let me know what your thoughts are. Do add a comment below. And it just so happened that this group of... or I should say this mystery box turned out to be 30. There were a few that were carried over from the previous one. Initially, they were supposed to be the previous kit, but they ended up with this kit. So I'm really excited about some of these fragrances. Let's start with the first fragrance. There's no order with these fragrances. And also, we used to have a more detailed pamphlet in these mystery boxes. But because we've had issues with samples being promised and not being delivered. It happened last kit. We've moved 2 of the previous samples into this, and we print the pamphlets in advance. And then when there's a problem, that means everything is pretty wasted, so we have to do it over again. So that's why we have a simplistic card in the box now, and you can refer back to the website to understand what's in the kit, or you can also, check these videos out and learn about the fragrances. There's no order for these fragrances. And again, so it's all out of order, but some of the fragrances, I should say the order that I talk about them is the order they were received. That's the best way to put it. So let's get started with the first fragrance. The first fragrance is AFFINESSENCE SAFRAN-NEROLI. I have to be honest, as I said in the last video, this is one of the most unique and original smells that I've put my nose on. It's a great saffron fragrance, really, really wonderful. And so unique, so unique. What's that fruity kind of creaminess that's in here? There's something very unique about it. And the combo of the kind of leathery, metallic, spicy smell of the saffron mixed in with the neroli kind of gives you a little bit of a creamy, almost candied effect happening. So there's also davana here, there's honey, there's ylang ylang. So all of these mixed together creates for a really... Oh, there's also tea. There's karak black tea, which I got to experience karak black tea, or karak tea, I think I should say, in Dubai for the first time, in the perfume souk, or the souk in general. And so they have that addition of note in this fragrance as well. I think this is a very unique smell. It's from AFFINESSENCE. It's part of their Heart Notes collection. And the way the brand does their fragrances is Top Notes collection, Heart Notes collection, Base Notes collection. So the Heart Notes collection is in that collection. And they're highlighting 2 heart notes. Usually these notes appear most of the time in the heart notes, the neroli and the saffron note. So it's highlighting these 2 notes. But a wonderful offering. Let me know what your thoughts are. I really love that smell. To me, it's so unique and absolutely love it. So it was great to be able to feature it in a kit. And if I already have discount codes for these fragrances, I have them in the info box. Next week, I'll also do a 3rd video for the discount code. Stay tuned for that. But let's move on to the next fragrance. It's GOLDFIELD & Banks Pacific Rock Flower. This is sort of a flanker to the original. There's a Pacific Rock Moss is what I should say. So this is Pacific Rock Flower. It's going into more of a floral direction. And of course, you have the idea of the previous fragrance here. And to me, they've given it a floral boost. So it's kind of marine, it's beachy, it's a bit tropical. And of course, you've got the floral notes in there as well. I mean, I think if you like, I think Pacific Rock Moss might be their most popular fragrance. Although the new Tales of Amber is amazing. I absolutely love it. Really, really awesome fragrance. Amazing fragrance. They do have a few. I love Silky Woods. Really love that for the vanilla and spiciness. This one actually, not my all-time favorite fragrance, but I think it's a wearable fragrance. It's fresh. It's clean, even though it has those marine touches, and it's very floral. So that is Pacific Rock Flower, not Pacific Rock Moss, but I feel like it's kind of a flanker to Pacific Rock Moss and taking it into a floral direction. And next we've got Atelier Materi's Vanille Carbone. Who's familiar with this one? So the perfumer for this is the same perfumer for Tom Ford's Vanilla Sex. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or familiar with the names of the perfumers. So they're so different though. I mean, even though both of the fragrances are vanilla focused, they're so different. This is dark, smoky. It is spicy. It is also leathery to me. But they do utilize 3 types of vanillas here. So it's an overdose of vanilla. But whatever else they have in here kind of crosses it out. Like, it doesn't make it super sweet. There's also a lot of incense. There's a peppery touch about it. So it comes off smoky. It does come off a bit leathery. And it's dark and also inky, as I was saying earlier in the last video. I think it's also a vanilla fragrance that's kind of more on the masculine side rather than something that's super sugary, sweet, gourmand. I wouldn't really call this a true gourmand if it is. I guess because it's got that sweetness of the vanilla, it would be. But it's more about the vanilla and not a lot of other gourmand notes, along with darker notes. Of course, the smoky, spicy, leathery touches that are coming in it. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know. Add a comment. This is Atelier Materi's Vanille Carbone. Do you get more of a gourmand touch or do you get the darkness as I do? Do add a comment below. Then we've got Cave's White Amber. White Amber, as I was saying last week, is a fresh take on amber. So it's a given that they're calling it white amber. So it's like a clean, pure kind of a take on amber. Whoops, I'm falling over. But this is, to me, kind of a fruity, floral take on amber. So there's definitely the idea of fresh fruits and fresh white flowers in here against a kind of a powdery, clean amber that's in the dry down. So again, sometimes people might not like these kind of resinous, balsamic, vanillic amber fragrances. They want something a bit lighter, easier to wear. And so I think the fruits and the flowers, there might even be some fresh citruses in this, are also kind of giving it a less heavy experience, because ambers are heavier because they are mostly all base notes, and those notes are the heaviest of all the notes in a formula for a fragrance. So here we've got the top notes that are fresher, so it takes the fragrance into a kind of a fresh amber direction, but giving me like a fruity floral edge to it and making it kind of much easier to wear than an amber. Don't get me wrong though, I love ambers. One of my favorite styles of fragrances are ambers. I was looking, do we have an amber in here? Yeah, we do have an amber in here that is more my style. But some of you guys might like something like this, which is kind of cleaner, fresher, fruity floral, kind of a take on amber. So that is White Amber from Cave. Then we've got Electimuss London's Moroccan MEDJOOL. And we're focusing on MEDJOOL dates. Love dates myself. I love them. I eat them, especially with walnuts. I mean, almonds too, but for me, the bitterness of almonds, walnuts and dates together, the sweetness of the dates, such a great combo. Just take out the seeds and the dates and stuff them with some walnuts in there and taste them. Amazing, amazing experience. But here we've got lots of dates. We've got roses and spices. And again, I was mentioning last week, we don't have a lot of gourmands in this list. This might come off a bit gourmandesque. To me, it's a very autumn-like experience. Dates I consider to be autumn fruits. And of course, they're also dried fruits. And I consider dried fruits to be the autumn fruits. Autumn into winter kind of fruits, you know? Because after summer's over, all the freshness is gone. So now you're dealing with fruits that are dried rather than the fresh fruits that you can normally consume. So that's kind of what I envision with the kind of fruits that are in here. Of course, the dates are dry. But there's a brightness about it. There's a rosy touch. There's a bit of freshness. But behind it all, there is something dried and, you know, ambery in there as well. Along the way, there's spices and things like that. It's a complex fragrance. It does smell quite yummy. And you do have an Middle Eastern experience because of the dates. And we've got a lot of dates here grown in California as well. I absolutely love dates. When I go to Dubai, I make sure to get dates. And over there, they have the most amazing stuffed dates with nuts and things like that. But if you don't go there and you want to do your own, just remember walnuts and dates together. Match made in heaven. Such a delicious delicacy. And also not... I mean, it's all natural is what I'm trying to say, rather than things that are like, you know, made to, with all kinds of ingredients added to it. But yeah, this is a yum fragrance. It's kind of sticky, caramelly, but for sure fruity, dried fruity, and then of course rosy as well. So that is Electimuss London's Moroccan MEDJOOL. And then this is the amber that I was trying to remember. This is actually a real amber. It's a dark smoky amber. This is from the house of LAURENT MAZZONE. It's called Phildor number 1. Right there. Who's a fan of this house? So this house I've been familiar with for quite some time. In fact, I believe I met the man behind the brand, LAURENT MAZZONE, early on at Essence, or was it PT Fragranza, one of those shows. And I've been a fan of their fragrance, HYDRA, which is an aldehyde fragrance. I've been a fan. I've mentioned it, recommended it in my videos. It's a very clean fragrance. They do have some great fragrances, and a lot of them are also created by Jeroboam, who is, you know, the perfumer for Wilhelm, of course, Byredo. He's done a lot here as well. Not everything, and I can't remember who did this one, but if you look up the brand, you'll see that Jeroboam has done quite a few of their fragrances. This, to me, is a very dark and smoky take on amber, but also kind of resinous and balsamic. So it's acting dry rather than the kind of syrupy, sticky, honeyed, where the previous fragrance with the dates had that kind of syrupy, sticky quality. Here it's more dry, and it's more like a gum resin type, so not necessarily syrupy or molassesy, just kind of slightly powdery, but you know, resins. You can smell the texture here. So it's quite spicy as well. It's smoky, and there's sweetness there, but I think some of the other notes are kind of toning it down, and it's not acting super sweet. I feel like Moroccan MEDJOOL is much sweeter than what's going on here. This, you really experience this really great fusion of resins, balsams, and at least it's acting balsamic to me. And of course, smoky touches and vanillic touches and spices. It's really nicely done. Super sexy as well. I really love it. And I feel like this is a perfect autumn and onto a winter kind of fragrance from a house that's not very well known in the States, I don't think, but one that has some great offerings. So it's LAURENT MAZZONE. It's a Phildor number 1 that is in the kit. Let me know your thoughts if you're a fan of that. Add a comment below. I'd love to find out what your thoughts are on the fragrances so far. Which one is turning out to be a favorite of yours? Do add a comment below. All right, see that there's not a lot of gourmands here. And I'm sure once you went through the collection, you probably noticed that it's not a chock full of gourmands collection. And I mentioned in the last video it's not that I plan out to do gourmands, it's just the way it turns out, because sometimes brands send things and it doesn't arrive. There's problems, we can't feature the samples. So it's not up to me, it's what's available and, you know, to be featured in a kit. So, but this kit did turn out to be not as gourmand, but did you catch what it did kind of turn out to be a little bit like? There's a lot of marine fresh fragrances in this kit. I'm not saying it's like most of it, but there's probably like 5 might lean a bit marine, if completely marine. But this next one is this tobacco focused fragrance from the house of THEODOROS, KALOTINIS. This is Tobacco Maniac. Let me know if you've discovered this house. I have a few videos on the channel of this brand. It's a Greek house. And it's pretty potent, but this is also a very leafy kind of tobacco. It's the leaves there, so there's a musty kind of dried smell about them. So then not only do they have tobacco, as in tobacco that you're going to roll a cigarette with or put it in a pipe, but there's also the leaves here. There's also honey here. There's vanilla here. And also there's patchouli. But I wouldn't say this is a sweet fragrance. It's sweetened up, but I think what you're smelling the most are the tobacco notes and the patchouli as well. I think the honey and the vanilla kind of sweeten it up a little bit, but you really are focused on the tobacco and then of course the patchouli, because I get those the most. And I absolutely really love it. But it's also super potent, super intense. A little goes a long way. And this is an extrait de parfum, so it's really long-lasting fragrance. I should say use caution when you spray that, because it could take over. It's very potent, and it can be a bit overwhelming if you spray too much. But I'm glad to have that here. It's a really awesome scent, and it's from the house of THEODOROS KALOTINIS. This is Tobacco Maniac. Yeah, tobacco is a top 3 note for me, I think. Definitely a top 5. There's a video on the channel of my top 10 fragrance notes. Go catch that if you want to find out more about my favorite tobacco fragrances and, you know, my favorite notes as well. But the next fragrance is from the house of Jeroboam. It's Kunamo. And Kunamo, I'm happy to have here in the kit as well. Kunamo is a really awesome pear-focused fragrance. And I've mentioned in my videos before, pear kind of comes off nondescript sometimes. It's such a it's fragrant fruit, but when you're comparing it to other fruits, it's not as fragrant. I kind of compare pear to magnolia. So in the floral world, magnolias to me are not that fragrant. Similar to pears in the fruit world, they're not that fragrant. But what they've done here is really amplified the smell of the pears. And of course, mixed it with a lot of musky notes and molecular notes. And you've got a really super sexy, juicy pear with musks and ambery touches in the dry down as well. And once again, I think it's a little bit leathery. It's a little bit leathery to me, but I think it's coming from the different kinds of notes that are in here, but you'll really notice the juiciness. It's quite juicy with the pear, and of course, very, very musky as well. Maybe a little bit powdery too. But I find it to be super sexy, as I said. I love wearing it. It smells great. It's a long-lasting fragrance because it is an extrait de parfum, and it's a fragrance that you keep craving over and over and want to keep wearing it. That's the kind of fragrance it is. So that's Jeroboam's Kunamo. Go catch my video with Francois Anen talking about that fragrance. It's a really awesome scent. I hope you guys get to try it. Well, you have the kit. If you have the kit, let me know what your thoughts are. Are you a fan of pear and fragrances? Do let me know. Do add that comment below. But let's move on to Ormonde Jayne's Vetiveria, which is also in the kit. So I shot a video with Linda of Ormonde Jayne while I was in London. She was mentioning this fragrance. She's also mentioned the new vanilla for Neiman Marcus, which I have a video that should air sometime soon. But this one to me is a super spicy, very earthy, citrusy focused vetiver fragrance. It's also super potent. And honestly, when the team that puts together the kits were putting this kit together, we noticed that this fragrance took over this studio. There's another studio that they do the work, and when I came in and out, it was pretty spicy in there. And we were trying to figure out which fragrance was the strongest, which filled up the room. It was this. This one really, really dominated the room, and it was so potent and spicy. There's a lot of peppery spices in this, super peppery. This is also very green. It's the vetiver, and it's got, I think it's Timur pepper from what I remember Linda mentioning. So it's got a peppery spiciness. And of course we've got lime in here, but you know, to me, the vetiver has a pepperiness on its own, and they've brought it out here, but it's super earthy. There's a dampness about it. There's also a freshness about it because there's a zing with the lime note that's in here, but it's one of the spiciest. It's so super spicy. Like the pepper spice is really, really in your face. Like if you like Timur or Sichuan or black pepper, pink pepper, this is definitely one for you to try. It does have an invigorating quality, and typically I don't find vetiver to be super sexy, but I also find this super sexy, especially when it's drying down, and the combination of all the notes together smells fantastic. And once again, this is also going to be a perfect fragrance to wear in the autumn, especially when it starts getting damp outside, a little bit of rain, but it's also not super cold. Vetivers shine in that kind of a temperature. So that's Vetiveria from the house of Ormonde Jayne. Then we've got a fragrance from the house of Miller Harris. We've got two back-to-back British or UK houses. This is Miller Harris's HYDRA Fig. HYDRA Fig is a marine take on a fig fragrance. And this was also featured in the marine video from a week or so ago. And this, we have one more fragrance here that might be a bit fig and marine leaning. I believe the other one is a bit more zingier than this. This is a bit more woodier to me because it's got like woods and woody notes in here along with the figs. I think that also the fig is a fusion of the green leaves or the tree of the figs and also some light fruits in there as well. But there's spices here. There's fresh spices like cardamom and ginger. It's a really pleasure to wear. Of course, we can't forget the marine notes because there's plenty of marine notes in here as well. But it's a nice fusion. And I mentioned in the marine video, I have gotten used to marine notes more and more. Like, I'm enjoying them more and more. But 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago, I couldn't tolerate them. A lot of them were too sulfuric or fishy to me. I think if it's focused on marine notes, then no. This is not focused on marine notes. It's a nice fusion of the figs, the fig leaves, and also the marine notes together. So they take away from whatever sulfuric, fishy smell some marine notes can have. But again, compare this one to the other kind of sort of fig and marine notes. This one's a lot woodier, but also very spicy. This is also more like the idea of autumn to me. The other one might be a bit fresher, but the other one was also quite a bit zingier than this one, even though this features ginger and cardamom. But a wonderful work, HYDRA Fig from the house of Miller Harris. Let me know your thoughts on that house and also that brand. I think they are carried at Neiman Marcus now. I will have links to as many discounts as I can get by the time this video airs. If you're in the market to buy any of these fragrances, I'll put the links to the products in the info box. But the next fragrance is from the house of Les Eaux Primordiales. It's Ambre Supermassive. So we featured Vanille Supermassive, which turned out to be an all-time favorite fragrance of mine in our OG kits last year, summertime, I think it was, or maybe it was like May, somewhere around there. So a little over a year ago. This one actually now is in the mystery box, and originally this fragrance was Ambre Super Fluide. This is Ambre Supermassive. So they've moved Ambre Super Fluide, redid it, the fragrance, and created an extract for it. And I much prefer the extract over the Super Fluide version, but according to the brand and my consensus asking people around, that is one of their more popular fragrances, Ambre Super Fluide. I prefer the Ambre Supermassive because it's a bit more intense. It's very boozy. It's fruity. It's sticky, caramelly, so it's an amber. And of course, you've got tobacco in here as well. And you've got that amazing DNA that the brand has that I really, really love in their fragrances. And it's got a super sexiness about it. So it might get some ideas of some of their other fragrances, obviously, because that DNA kind of goes from one to their other fragrances. And also you'll be reminded of the original of this, which is Ambre Super Fluide. But as I said, I prefer this one. It's super sexy. It's longer lasting to me as well. The other one is a bit more dry. This is a bit more syrupy. And I kind of like syrupy. I kind of like super syrupy fragrances in compared to the dry fragrances. So I much prefer this one. And I think it's also a really nicely done fragrance, and I'm happy to share it with you guys, and I hope you guys end up liking it as well. So that is Ambre Supermassive from the house of Les Eaux Primordiales, one of my favorite niche houses, by the way. If you are a fan of that house, let me know what are your thoughts on their fragrances, and did you end up getting a kit with the Vanille Supermassive? Do let me know, add a comment below. Okay, next up, it's the fragrance called ECLETIQUE from GRITTI. This has a prominent note of strawberries, but to me, it doesn't really smell like your strawberry smell. I mentioned in the video announcing but not revealing the fragrances that to me, it's kind of almost like an Aventus-like fragrance, but with another fruit, not pineapple. It's acting that way. I also mentioned that this also gives me some comparisons to fragrances from Tiziana Terenzi. It's an Italian brand, obviously. Gritti is Luca Gritti, the perfumer, and Tiziana Terenzi, it's Paolo Terenzi, the perfumer. So the fragrances do have similarities, but this is a strawberry, fruity, freshy, but with powdery elements in there as well. So it's a combo of those. It's also quite long lasting. It's intense. It's an intense experience, but super fruity. But even though they say it's strawberries, it doesn't really act like the smell of strawberries unless the strawberries happen to be uber fresh, not so ripe. In that case, I can see this. But sometimes, I mean, I associate smell and taste all the time. So this is not acting like a super ripe strawberry. It's a very young strawberry, perhaps green leaning as well, because I don't get an overdose of fruitiness from the strawberry. But in the end, it's quite fresh, and it's a nice fragrance with the idea of powdery touches and the intensity that the fragrance has. But let me know your thoughts on ECLETIQUE from the house of Gritti. The house of Gritti, and this is an eau de parfum. It's not an extrait de parfum, apparently, but to me, it's quite strong. It's a potent fragrance, so you can also wear that in the summertime. I think it's a warm weather appropriate fragrance, where I think the fragrance will shine even further in comparison to wearing it in the wintertime, where I think it's kind of not a winter fragrance. There are no rules, but it could actually be the kind of fragrance to brighten up your day when it's kind of a gloomy day out there. So the next fragrance, it's a sister house to Gritti. It's called Gleam. This is Coco Bello. So this might also be a bit gourmandesque, but this to me is it's an interesting, strange combination. It does have marine notes, but it's got a banana smoothie. It's got cotton candy, coconut water, sea breeze, and sand. So in the end, gourmand, beachy, tropical, marine, all rolled into one. So the banana in here, was it this fragrance I was talking about, how it takes me back to being young and chomping on these candies? Yes, this is the fragrance I was thinking about. If you caught the previous video announcing the fragrances without revealing their names, yeah, this to me puts me on the beach, mom and dad on the beach, they're laying, trying to get sun. I am sitting, playing with some toys as a kid, and I'm chomping on really thick candy, and I'm just going chewing. And it's the smell of this candy that's banana flavored, and I'm getting the smell of the sand, and I'm getting the smell of the sea all hitting my face. at the same time. And maybe there's some cotton candy being made right next door. Who knows? But that's the kind of experience I get. I think it's a really fun fragrance. It's also very young, so it'll evoke those kind of memories for you guys. And also, it's one of the best from this house. This is a newest collection of fragrances. Coco Bello from Gleam. Really fun fragrance. But I'm being honest here, it's very young. It will come off very, very young. So next, it's a new fragrance from the house of Lumari. It's EAUX. So I did a full review of this one. The brand has rebranded. This fragrance house has rebranded. And they have really nice bottles now. And of course, we still know that Porthole is a very popular fragrance. Everybody seems to like it. But this is their latest. It's super clean and fresh. It's very juicy, citrusy, but also ice cold and sharp and metallic here, at least on my skin. There's a lot of aromatic notes. Sometimes some people might think there's a lot of mint here, so some people might think this might be like Torino 21. It doesn't smell like it. Torino 21 is not sharp and metallic like this one is. This is ice cold. This one has a coldness about it. Whereas with Torino 21, I get that kind of cozy tea effect with that fragrance. This one is a cooling fragrance. It's got that metallic sharpness. So that's why I find it to be super ice cold. I think it's a great warm weather fragrance. Really lovely, really nice, uber citrusy, very aromatic and spicy. And eventually it gets ambery woody in the dry down as well. So that's done by Christian Provenzano. It's EAUX from the house of Lumari. Let me know if you're familiar with that house. Let me know what your favorite fragrances are from Lumari. Add a comment below. And I actually had taken off the little dangly thing off of this bottle. So when I did the initial video, I made sure that it didn't make any noise so you guys wouldn't think, you wouldn't guess what the fragrance is. But we do have Oud Sapparot. Sapparot, is that how you say it? Sapparot is the Thai word for pineapple, apparently. So this is a oudi, fruity fragrance with pineapple and oud. So the oud in this does have a bit of funk, but it's nicely covered up with the fruity notes that are in here. And the pineapple to me seems like a very ripe pineapple, not necessarily tart. Although there's a little tartness, but it's more on the ripe side rather than the tart side to me. So it does have this kind of depth about it, the pineapple. But you do need to enjoy oud, and you can totally, the oud does stand out. So you'll really notice the oud in this. So if you don't like oud at all, and you're thinking this is a pineapple freshy, fruity, not at all like Aventus, by the way, or anything that's similar to Aventus. This is its own unique thing. It's a Montale fragrance. There is a lot of Montale-like notes, and it has the Montale DNA, so you're kind of familiar with it. The oud's got a funk. I'm not 100% sure this is all natural oud. It could be an oud accord that's made, that Montale has, that has the funk. So it's got a bit of animalic quality against the fruitiness of the pineapple, the juiciness and ripe juiciness of the pineapple, I should say. So that's Oud Sapparot from the house of Montale. Let me know if you've sampled that. So the next fragrance is from Acro's Breathe. And this is super clean, so super clean and simplistic to wear. And I feel like this is for someone that wants fragrance, but doesn't want to overwhelm what they're wearing. So they don't want to be overwhelmed with the fragrance they're wearing, kind of a thing. So it's very clean and watery. There's also aromatic notes here. There's a lot of musk, and there's also juicy bergamot in this. But there's a major watery quality, like you can smell water. However water smells, if you can kind of smell water, because there is a fragrance there, even though there's not much of a fragrance there. You get that here for sure. They've captured it. So again, this might be the super easiest fragrance to wear. It's called Breathe. And it's kind of like what you're breathing, like air, kind of. Not much there. It's a super clean, musky, lightly aromatic, watery fragrance. This is also perfect for layering. I think if you have a fragrance that might need something watery added to it, you can do that. Maybe you have something with lavender. You can do that with like add a watery effect, a musky effect to your lavender fragrances because this has lavender in it. So you can do those kind of things with this fragrance. I think it's a great, it could be used as a primer and a booster or, you know, extender kind of a experience because it's so light. It's super fresh. There is a fragrance there. Don't get me wrong. It's not completely not there, but I think it's a great primer for adding to fragrances or wearing on its own to have a very fresh, clean experience. So that is Breathe from Acro. And then we've got Acqua dell'Elba Essenza Mare. So this might come off a bit like Mega Mare, a little bit, not quite. Whereas I have a love-hate relationship with Mega Mare, this one is not as nauseating as Mega Mare can be. Mega Mare is overdosed, way overdosed. It's so overwhelming. And certain times I can't tolerate it because it goes very fishy on me. This one, on the other hand, there's subtleties about the marine touches that they have in it. There's a lot of amber woods. It is a lot of it. It's pretty heavy. But there's a subtlety about the usage of the marine style notes or marine type notes. So it doesn't get fishy and overly nauseating like Mega Mare does. So I'm not saying they're identical. They might remind you of one another. Whereas Mega Mare does have a lot of that fishiness. It's a fragrance that, for me, for the longest time, I couldn't tolerate. Yeah, I can tolerate it a little bit now, but still, certain times it's a doozy. Like I have to wash it off. Here, I really like the subtleties, the little reminders of that kind of a fragrance, but much more enjoyable. So this is from a Italian house called Acqua dell'Elba. If you guys are familiar with this house, let me know. That's Essenza Mare. That is one of their latest fragrances, by the way. All right, the next fragrance is from the house of Venezia 1920, and this is Bellini. You guys familiar with the Bellini? I've drank plenty of them in my lifetime. They are super smooth and super delicious. I think it's a peach or nectarine juice with Prosecco or maybe champagne or something. But the fragrance smells and acts like a real Bellini, but a little bit like in a tropical setting. Because it also has a frangipani. It's got almonds in here as well, some citruses. A little bit of a milkiness, but it's super peachy, nectarine here, and it acts like a real Bellini. And I love them. They're super yummy, especially if the quality of the peach juice or the nectarine juice is really good. Then with a great quality Prosecco or sparkling wine, the combination is going to be delicious. And you've got that experience here. And it acts like when you ever have the Bellini, there's a creaminess about it, even though it's just juice. So they have thrown in milk here to give you that effect a little bit, to give you that kind of creamy smoothness, whereas it's all very fruity, peachy nectarine, but you've got a bit of that creamy smoothness with the milk note that's in here. Super yum. That's Venezia 1920 Bellini. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Let me know if you've sampled it. So it looks like we have two fragrances in the kit featuring banana as a note. Is that becoming the new trendy note? So we've got Two's L'Explicit. So apparently the brand goes by Two now, not the House of Oud. THOO2. And this is L'Explicit. I was mentioning that this reminds me of cakes I used to buy or sometimes buy when I go get a coffee from the coffee shop, because it's about banana bread. This has peanut butter, banana bread, lemon zest. There's some tropical floral notes, amber and things like that. It's got some warm spices. This is like so cozy, so super duper delicious cozy. And the real banana bread smell. Like literally, I brought a slice of banana bread with my macchiatos, and I have them once in a while, and I open up the little bag they put it in. This is what it smells like. It's super, super cozy and comforting. And I love that about it. The smell is so realistic, and that's what they've done here with L'Explicit. They've captured that banana bread experience perfectly. Now, I'm not getting much peanut butter. I don't get that. I get the banana bread experience more, but maybe the peanut butter that they have in here is not so prominent. Doesn't stand out as much. But the banana bread experience is top notch. I absolutely love it. Smells super delicious. This is L'Explicit from the house of 2. Right there, THOO. Happy to have that in the kit. All right, the next fragrance is from Kieran, New York City. It's Pure New York. And this is the other fig fragrance that I mentioned that I had in the kit. This one's the zingy one. This one acts more citrusy and tart in comparison to the HYDRA fig, which was more woody take. So this is salted figs. There's sage here. There's citruses here. So it's giving you a very zingy, invigorating quality with the saltiness and greenness of the figs. I think they did a really great job with it. And I think this brand also uses, what's his name? Jerome Epinay for fragrances as well. Or is it Matthew Nardin? I can't remember who they use. But I think they've used both of the perfumers. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank who created this, but this is even though it's the idea of fig and marine notes, once again, just like the Miller Harris, they are so different. They're so different when you smell them. So HYDRA Fig and Pure New York from Kieran NYC. This to me is fresher. It seems like a nice fragrance to wear going into autumn, and then the HYDRA Fig more from autumn to winter experience, because this one has a lot of freshness and a zinginess that I quite like, that is invigorating, whereas the HYDRA Fig seemed more of comforting and a bit more of an autumnal experience. And the next fragrance, going to a Thai house called Siam 1928. This is Yod Beer. So this is a brand that actually recently won an Art and Olfaction Award. And this is one of the most unusual fragrances in that they're combining notes together to give you the idea of a fragrance that smells like beer. A bear that enjoys beer. So it's coriander, orange, honey, benzoin, caramel, chocolate. Those are the notes that go in here. And you really get that idea of something that smells like beer. So it's, I mean, those are kind of gourmand notes, right? But there's that kind of foamy kind of experience with beer. It's kind of developing here. It's made in a way that, to me, it doesn't go gourmand, and it really does remind you of the idea of a cold brew beer in a big cup, or glass, I should say. It's very, very unusual, very interesting fragrance, and I'm glad I got it here. It's a fun fragrance if you especially like fragrances that this is not necessarily boozy to me, because it doesn't have those characteristics of boozy fragrances, but really reminds me of beer. So that's Yod Beer from the house of Siam 1928. And then we've got a brand spanking new house called Never Again. This is Lacquerly. And this Lacquerly is a Swiss treat that is super warm, spicy. And I've been testing this one out, by the way, and it's so good, so good. It's kind of autumn in a bottle. There's warm spices in here, but there's also touches of like savory toastiness, like almost like rice, which kind of leans more like a savory experience in a fragrance. But there's sweetness, there's caramelly touches, warm spices, and then all of a sudden you got these kind of like grain kind of notes that give you a little bit of a savory experience. But the whole fragrance is super delicious, really, really wonderful, and a perfect autumn fragrance. This smells so good, really wonderful. It actually smells, well, I was gonna say smells better than it tastes, but I think I haven't experienced lacquerly as much as I should to actually make that statement. But as a fragrance, I think they did such a great job with it. It's a great gourmand. It's not super duper sweet, because as I said, I do get a little bit of some savory touches in there, but it's awesome in the spiciness. It's warm, spicy, and I think it's a great autumn fragrance to wear. So that's Lacquerly from Never Again. Brand spanking new house. First time hearing about it here on the channel. And let me know, those of you that are Swiss, if you ever have had a fragrance inspired by one of your country's sweet treats. Add a comment below. All right, we do have Sarah Baker's Prism Head. So Sarah Baker was here several months ago. We shot a video on petrichor and geosmin fragrances. This does feature geosmin as a note. Go catch that video to learn more about it. What I like about this one, it's got mushrooms. It's super earthy, nicely meshed with patchouli. So this to me smells like you're digging the earth pretty much. It smells of the earth. So patchouli has a very earthy smell to it, but it rarely smells of soil, mud, things like that. But what they've brought here is the kind of soiliness, the earthiness, and they've made a really wonderful, very, very earthy fragrance. Now you gotta like earthy fragrances to enjoy this. This is also kind of green leaning, but it's a really, really great fragrance. One of my favorites from Miguel Matos, who created this fragrance for Sarah Baker. If you don't like the smell of earth, this might not be it for you. This is also not super sweet, nothing like that. It's just all earthy notes. There's mushrooms in the notes as well. Of course, the geosmin, but the patchouli is also super potent in this fragrance. But really nicely done. It's Prism Head from the house of Sarah Baker. Let me know if you're familiar with that. If you've gotten the kit, you probably have smelled it. And the last fragrance is Eden by Adamo Parfums. This actually turned out really great. It does remind me a little bit of Tilia by Marc-Antoine Barrois, but not so much. A lot of woods here, a lot of woods, and there's also a lot of white flowers. But I think this also has some zinginess from grapefruit and some light fruitiness from plums. It's a bit simplistic, but it smells great. It's maybe got a bit of a classic vibe, but not quite. I think the perfumer is Hamid Muradi Kashani. I can't remember, I apologize. But really wonderfully done here. If you like white flowers, you gotta check this one out. Eden by Adamo. So that's the 24 samples, or those are the 24 samples. Now we have that discovery set. And this is a discovery set of fragrances from the brand Noya. First of which is Ancient Currents. My strips are different sizes. Look at this. Mine are like this. Okay, so this is saffron, oak moss, vetiver, marine notes, bergamot, elemi, cedar, and patchouli. So in the end, it's woody, earthy, and also very citrusy, and of course the marine notes. These are all made by IFF perfumers from what I recall. Basically, it's a really great take on woods meshed with freshness, because a lot of the fragrances in this discovery set were fresh, And of course, along the way with this one, you've got earthy elements, kind of spicy elements as well. Of course, you've got to remember the marine notes that are also featured in this one. So that is Ancient Currents. The next one I really enjoy, this is called Abyssal Odyssey. Saffron. I'm sorry, this is not saffron. Wait, what is this one? I believe this one is Clary Sage. This is also acting a bit ambery because it's got ambergris in the notes. There's also amber and there's jasmine. This one smells really awesome. It doesn't act very marine. There's a warmth about it. I really enjoy this one. I'm going to spray some on because this one is a favorite of mine from this series of fragrances. Really wonderful. So the ambergris adds a slight saltiness, but it's not overdosed, so you don't have too much of it, where sometimes an overdose of ambergris is not very enjoyable to wear. At least to me, it's not. Here, there's aromatics and spices, and of course, slight saltiness from the ambergris, and it's very ambery, like your traditional amber. It smells really, really wonderful. This is definitely a favorite from the Noya Discovery set. This is Abyssal Odyssey. The next one I enjoy as well, but on my skin, for some reason, it goes marine. This is Citrus Coast. And from the name Citrus Coast, what does that say? This is also very ice cold, and I was mentioning in the video, it's got an ozonic quality about it, because I'm picking up something slightly appley or cucumbery and crisp, so it gives me an ozonic vibe. But for some reason on my skin, it does go a little marine, but still I really enjoy this one because it's got that crispness, its freshness, and it's got a very invigorating quality about it, especially with the fact that there's a lot of citruses in here. I think it's a really, really wonderful wear for hot days. So this is Citrus Coast from Noya. Let me know out of the Discovery set which you enjoyed the most from the Noya brand. Then we've got Azure Reverie. This one has a pretty prominent amber woods-like experience. But once again, it's quite woody and spicy. There's lots of woods here for sure. There's vetiver featured in here. I believe there's also cedar wood. And there's definitely a very peppery spiciness. It's lots of pepper in this one. So that is Azure Reverie. What do you guys think of the bottles? The colors, I think, are really, really wonderful. And then we've got Jungle Serenity. Now this one, I think I mentioned in the previous video, this one does mention ozonic notes, but I get more ozonic notes from the Citrus Coast in comparison to this one. And I think the reason I don't get it in this one as much is because the sandalwood is pretty prominent. There's a major sandalwood note here. So it acts very creamy and also very, very woody. But along the way, there's some spices that come in. There's peppery spices. There's aromatic touches like cypress, earthy notes like patchouli. So that is Jungle Serenity. Last but not least, also a favorite of mine. I'll tell you my 3 most favorite of the collection. The last one, I should say, is Ocean's Luminescence. This is woody notes, seawater, pearl accord, and amber. But once again, super clean. Also a bit crisp and ozonic, but pure and white and musky as well. Love that. So my 3 favorites happen to be Abyssal Odyssey. I love that one. That one wears great on my skin. The Citrus Coast, of course, even though I find it a bit marine on my skin. And then I also really enjoy the Ocean's Luminescence. Simplistic. I wouldn't say it's faint like Breathe is, but kind of similar in that it's not super substantial with its presence and the type of notes that are in there. So that is Ocean's Luminescence, and now you know my 3 favorites from the collection. And that's the last of the fragrances in the latest mystery box. I hope you got yours. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but we'll probably have another one towards the end of the year, and that will be it for the year. So stay tuned for that. We've got a big surprise on the next one as well, so stay tuned. But 30 samples in a mystery box. I'm sure you guys are having fun going through and smelling and discovering. But let me know which of the fragrances you enjoyed the most. Do add a comment below. And thank you so much for watching this video. And as I said at the beginning of the video, if I have discount codes for the fragrances already, they'll be in the info box, and we'll put them up on the website as soon as possible. But we'll do one more video in a week to give you a notification on the discount codes on video as well, just so that you guys have all the information for the fragrances. But thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell icon as well. And of course, give a thumbs up for this video so it will help with the algorithm. See you guys later. Bye-bye.